Questions and comments? Question commentaire, the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Government House Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a very simple question. If the member is so opposed to a price on pollution, why did she run on it in the last election?
The Honourable Member for Kelowna Lake Country.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the question. I don't believe that that was specific wording that I would have used. But what I will say is that, you know, when we were looking at the last SNAP election that was in 2021, that was triggered by this government, I do want to say as well that at that time we had ash falling from the sky in my community. It was really out of touch with the government calling an election at that time. And, you know, since then, we've seen record high inflation. We have 1.5 million people a month going to a food bank. We have 40-year high inflation. You know, it is not a good state. And so this is not the time that we should be increasing any taxes on Canadians, including the carbon tax.
Questions et commentaires. Questions and comments. L'honorable député de...
The Honourable Member for Repentigny. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The colleague spoke a lot about food, agriculture, in the context of money, but I would like to talk to her about health. Some data. Pollution is expensive. 2.7 million days, according to Health Canada, of asthma symptoms, 35 million days of acute respiratory symptoms. That's data from 2016, and these numbers are on the rise, and these are days which translate into lost productivity, missed work days. It also makes it such that people have to spend a lot on healthcare and pharmacies. As for kidney disease, 10.7 million a year is the cost of kidney disease and liver disease from fine particles, pollution particles. So how does the colleague feel about that data? The Honourable Member for Kelowna Lake Country.
Speaker, and I thank the member for her question. I can appreciate everything that the member said, but all of that has absolutely nothing to do with the carbon tax. The carbon tax just is a tax. It does not reduce emissions. And so, you know, adding this tax just makes the cost of everything go up. And so they're really not related at all. The carbon tax just makes the price of people's heating their homes go up. The carbon tax makes the price of everything that's transported across this country go up, a lot of which is food, a lot of which is essentials. And so what we're talking about today is inflation. We're talking about the cost of everything going up because of the carbon tax.
The Honourable Member for Cypress Hills Grasslands.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I really appreciated my colleague's speech. You know, the Liberals deliberately mislead Canadians on two parts. One, they said it would never go over $50 a tonne, yet here we are on our way to $170 a tonne. The other part where they mislead Canadians, they say that 9 out of 10s are going to receive more money back than they're going to get. What they do is they conveniently ignore the hidden costs of the carbon tax, and that is on people's grocery bills, and that's on just the general cost of everything. The clothes that we all wear have a carbon tax buried into it. You don't see it on your receipt when you go and purchase those items, but yet it still exists. I wonder if my colleague has any comments about the hidden costs of the carbon tax.
The Honourable Member for Kelowna Lake Country.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I appreciate my honourable colleague for the question. Well, a couple of things. First of all, I mean, we have to remember that this is a government that, when they got elected in 2015, said they were just going to have a little teeny tiny deficit. And so, you know, this is this government. They're not exactly known for keeping their promises. But when you're talking about the hidden taxes that are there, absolutely, it's what adds to the cost. It's called cost of goods, cost of sales. We see it as well, even in shipping, for example. They'll add it on as a fuel surcharge. And really a big part of that is it's taxes. I remember hearing from one of my constituents before, well, many of them actually before Christmas, but one of them was really relevant where he was shipping a very small container of Christmas baking, and the fuel surcharge, all of the taxes were actually more expensive than the cost to ship the baking to his relative. And so, you know, those are the kind of things that, showed on his bill, but there's many times where it won't actually be shown on a bill, and it's definitely the hidden charge that's increasing inflation across the country.
Reprise du débat.
Resuming debate.